What's up, everybody? It's episode 13 of Spoiler Alert. I'm Chanmanv. Ellohime is having issues staring into the sun, I guess. Or either that or you're Asian all of a sudden, Ellohime.
You look like Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he does. He does look kind of like Robert De Niro. Oh my god.
Give me a good Robert De Niro line.
How
How
can I not think of one?
Wow,
Oh my
it's
God.
over.
Fokker, something from Meet the Fockers, maybe. Are you in the circle?
Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, Circle of Trust. There you go. There you go.
Hi, I'm Ellohime. This is Eat My Diction.
Hi.
And I'm Chanmanv. What's up, guys? So today we're going to be spoiling Rogue One, and disclaimer as always, if you guys do not want or have not seen Rogue One and do not want to be or have it spoiled for yourselves, go ahead and mute the mic or mute the audio right now so you guys don't hear any of the discussion that we're going to be having today. But yeah, we're just going to be talking about everything that has to do with the new Star Wars movie.
But definitely don't leave, though.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Never leave.
Allow it to be spoiled.
Just watch our mouths. Just watch our mouths for a while. It'll be fine. It'll be great. I should have done the you talking to me. That was probably the best.
You talking to
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
you talking to
Why
me.
did we not think of that
Exactly.
one?
Oh my
I
god.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know how we.
I was trying to think of Goodfellas lines, but he like ad-libbed everything. It's hard to remember.
You
So how you guys been this
Anyway.
week?
It's been actually a pretty good week. A lot of
Christmas
streaming.
week, man.
Been doing a lot of Skyrim, which is a lot of fun.
Wow,
That
going
game-
back, huh? All right.
Yeah, because it's kind of slow right now, right? Like there
Mhm.
hasn't been a lot of
Yeah.
new releases except for maybe like Friday the 13th.
I was watching some of that.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that.
Yeah, but
the new Walking Dead season.
yeah, I
is
did
out.
that. I did that like yesterday morning. So
Yeah, me too.
So yeah,
Strong.
yeah, it was pretty good.
It
But
honestly made me want to go back because I'm like not the biggest Telltale fan, mostly because like The Wolf Among Us really rubbed me the wrong way. Like it started off so strong and then it just went fucking downhill.
have you read the comics?
I've read like one or two like issues, not volumes.
Oh God, it's the best. I'm gonna take you guys
I
on
like
a journey
the
through
comic.
that one
I
day.
definitely like the comic.
I mean, I own them all. Like I bought all the graphic novels, the encyclopedia,
Oh my
everything.
God.
It's fucking phenomenal. But yeah, I know what you mean. For people who didn't read those, the game kind of fell short at the end. But no, it's really good. So you're gonna go back, Diction, and play some of the other Telltale?
Well, I wanted to go all the way back and play their Jurassic Park game, just because I know it's supposed to be pretty like laughably bad, and I kind of want to play it for that reason alone.
They did a Jurassic Park one.
Yeah, and
I know they did a Back to
not-
the Future one.
They did Back to the Future. I think they did a Monkey Island game, a couple Monkey Island games, Sam and Max as well. They brought back Sam and Max. But I think that was like way back. That was before they did The Walking Dead, which clicked with people. And so all those games that came before it, which they made a lot of, people didn't get it. I guess like they didn't, or maybe they didn't hone their skills of storytelling as well. But they would shit on them, and they were like, "These aren't games. They're just like visual novels. Like what the fuck, man." And then The Walking Dead came around. They're like, "Oh shit, this has really strong characters. Really like it's well paced. You know, like it's got good voice acting. Blah blah blah."
Now we get it.
Yeah.
Now we get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to
Yeah,
go back and
exactly.
see what they were doing wrong with like those older games, you know, like, or if they weren't doing anything wrong and they were just like misunderstood.
I would totally do the Jurassic Park one. I don't know if I like what you call it, the Back to the Future enough to work through a Telltale.
Yeah, I think
I love the movies, but I
You
don't know
like
if
Marty
it's
McFly's?
it's not intriguing enough to like play through the game. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I might try the Sam and Max because Sam and Max Hit the Road is one of my like all-time favorite games. I played through that game, I think like 4 times when I was a kid.
I don't think I ever
Man.
played Sam and Max. That's
See, I didn't play Sam and Max either, and that's why I didn't do that one either, because I feel like it's just one of those games that if you miss, you miss. Like Grim Fandango. Like I feel like if you didn't play that, like when you were little, like it's kind of.
Well, no, they got it. They
I know they got the
remastered it,
renew one. Yeah, they have the remastered.
and they're
one.
doing Full Throttle next, which is fucking exciting. So,
How about this? When I know we're really off topic right now. Sure, I swear we'll get to it. Right?
We've been doing nothing but movies for like 4 shows, so we might as well talk about video games a little bit. You know?
Yeah. It's crazy because
spoiler alert: they find the Sasquatch at the end of Sam and Max Hit the Road. There you go.
So I remember Full Throttle from my childhood and wanting to play that game so bad and not being able to find a copy of it anywhere. Like
it was
anywhere.
Sought after. Yeah, it was.
I wanted to play that game so bad. I went to stores, I looked at magazines, I looked everywhere, and I could not find a copy of that game. And so to this day, I still have not fucking played that game.
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
I want to, and I know I'm not going to enjoy it nearly as much now, but I just,
you will actually.
Yeah. Or like the trailer, they redid the trailer from the original Full Throttle trailer with the new animations, and it looks fabulous. And
I didn't even know
they're
that.
keeping all the they're keeping all the voice acting because the voice actor for the main character died. And apparently when he came in to read for it, like he just nailed it on the first try, and they're like, okay, you got the part. So like he just embodied that character, and they couldn't like replace him. So yeah, when that comes out, I'm hitting that hard because I miss Full Throttle so much.
Yeah, Full Throttle is great actually.
Yeah, I never got to play it.
It's not dated. It's not really dated either. You'll like it.
The gameplay still holds up.
Yeah,
like,
it still definitely holds up.
Adventure games are great. They still work, and they're funny as fuck. You know.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of the Indiana Jones, like in the Fate of Atlantis. Oh yeah. Like those ones.
Oh, I've never played those.
Oh yeah, those are like adventure Indiana Jones games.
They're like LucasArts point and click, like classic adventure games.
Yeah.
That was like one thing me and my dad had in common when I was a kid, aside from like sports, was he loved those games. And so we like he would play I remember Monkey Island 2 had like 2 modes. There's like easy mode and then a hard mode. And my dad would play the hard mode. And so I'd like sneak in and I'd watch him play like the harder stuff that I couldn't figure out. And I was like just so excited. I was like, I can't wait till I'm old enough to get this shit to understand these puzzles. They look really crazy.
You're making your own Prima guide in the back. Like,
one day I get it. Exactly. I'm going to do this instead of that.
Okay. All right.
Let's get into Rogue One.
Yeah, let's reel it back in. Everybody rewind.
I thought we were talking movies today. We're talking games. Yeah. No, but today we're gonna be talking about Rogue One, and I'm assuming everybody now that's in the chat has seen Rogue One and is ready to talk to us about it. But before we completely get started, I just want to let you guys know that you guys can join our discussion at towards the end of the show. Maybe we'll put some of you guys like during certain topics. I think we might start doing that because it makes a little bit more sense. If you guys,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. If they like have a certain point they want to make, regarding what we're talking about. But hang out in this Discord channel. Monkey Overlord and maybe Lucky Misfits will be in there. So they'll help you get ready to join the call. Make sure your mics are not screwed up. Make sure your volume's turned down on the stream, and then you guys will hop on with us. Okay, so let's see. I guess first impressions, right? We always start out with first impressions of what we thought of the movie.
Anecdote I was talking
about
earlier?
So Addiction has an anecdote you want to tell us.
Yeah, so my enjoyment of this movie was stilted because due to the dude sitting next to me was clearly did not want to be there, not a fan of Star Wars, and possibly not a fan of going to movies in general, because the entire movie he was fidgeting in his seat, hitting my arm, fucking like he nodded off a couple times. He would whisper to his friends. He'd like lean forward and grab like popcorn from the dude sitting in front of him and stuff, and he would like scoff at like the cornier lines, and it was just like I'm like pretty hypersensitive when I'm in public, and that just like I could not focus on the movie because this dude next to me was being a piece of shit. If you don't like going to movies, don't let your friends rope you into it. Like just don't go. God. Don't ruin someone else's fucking good time.
Seriously.
Because you're a piece of shit and you can't handle being in a movie theater. That's all I'm saying. It's different if it's a little kid, but this guy was a full-grown man.
Like why are you wasting your money? Dude. Why are you wasting your money going?
Seriously,
what Diction doesn't know is that this guy had a huge crush on him, and he was trying so hard to get his attention.
Yeah, he's nagging you. Totally nagging you, Diction.
He should have grabbed my hand during the scary parts to let me know. That's like a sign, right?
No, the sign is when he goes, "You want some of my popcorn?" And he's cut a hole in the bottom of it, and his sticking up through it. So when you reach in,
That's
then
man.
you know it's real. That's love.
I thought I'd be safe because I went like at noon on the Friday. You know, I'm like everyone's at work. Like this, like winter break hasn't started for a lot of people, so like there's can't be that
was
many
like
people in the theater.
that was like a work
Sure enough,
icebreaker.
fucking dude.
Exactly. I didn't have anything like quite like that, but I did have a woman that was sitting next to me that literally was snoring. Like her husband was super Star Wars, huge Star Wars fan. Like, you know, he was hooting and hollering every time, you know, like C-3PO was on the screen or some kind of reference to the old ones.
Right.
And she literally was snoring at one point. I was like, what the fuck? Wow. It's like I don't think I've ever fallen asleep to that point at a movie theater. I've nodded off for like a second maybe, but never snoring. That's crazy.
I can say that my trip to the movies was completely and entirely enjoyable. Nothing bad happened.
I mean, it wasn't mine.
It was like a new theater. Like the movie theater made like a new movie theater. Like it's called the Dolby Surround Sound, whatever. It's got reclining chairs in every aisle and everything. Oh yeah, man. When things explode, your chair shakes and shit. It's like 4D.
Yeah.
So my time was awesome. So I just thought if we were all sharing, I should let you guys know how great my experience was. Man, that sucks though, Diction. I know how that kind of thing can like warp. How warped are you on your opinion then? Like, if you could say like you're 18% corrupted, like 32%, like
I don't know about a percentage, but like, and then honestly, maybe my perception of the film was like that. I did like it. First of all, like I did like it, but I wasn't blown away. Like I watched all my friends on Twitter on Thursday night just going ape shit over it, and even like I can like separate my experience with that fucking douchebag next to me and say that like I really liked it. I think it's a solid film, and it's really fucking awesome that they're finally branching out after 37 years and making different stories like outside of the canon, you know, like Luke Skywalker family lineage. But that we can get
definitely we'll want to talk about that. Yeah, I would say I think the biggest question that everybody had was it better than Force Awakens? That's like the first measuring stick, since Force Awakens was the most recent one. And I have to say, when I first walked out the movie theater, I felt like it was. But then I went and rewatched Force Awakens, you know, when I got back, like home. And then I was like, oh, no. I mean, because part of me was like, you know, Force Awakens, it's a lot to do with nostalgia that I like that movie so much. You know, just with all, like, you know, Han Solo back.
They rehashed the you know, episode 4's story work.
Yeah.
And the storyline completely. It's like 100% like the exact same plot with the beats and everything, but with different characters. But I understood that going into it the first time I watched it, because it's like they were trying to bridge the gap between generations. So parents would take their kids and both of them would get something out of it, you know?
Well,
so I felt like that worked for me, but I understand people being like, yeah, but it's the same story. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to look at like a Grumpy Puss, then sure. But like, it's still fucking entertaining and Star Wars, you know? Like they nailed the Star Wars part of it. So
I know what you mean by that, but I don't know. I still feel like episode 1 was more of a just like direct copy of just the, you know, the standard script template. But no, episode 1, like the crappy one. Like, I felt like it was more.
Oh, no, we're not talking about those ones.
Yeah, but anyways, getting back to Force Awakens, I think in the end, I think Force Awakens is still better. But I think the second half of Rogue One, I felt like was we'll get into a little bit more, but the second half I felt like was much stronger than the first half. Yeah. Overall, I liked it. I think it. You know, it's definitely better than the first 3. I mean, no question about that. But how it ranks with, you know, the other 4. I don't know.
The actual Star Wars.
Yeah, the actual Star Wars films. I'd say it's a little bit behind it, but it's in the same bucket at least.
I don't know. I didn't like. I guess I just didn't compare the two because I didn't feel like it was really fair.
Yeah,
I mean, like you can't. You can't really compare the two.
Yeah.
They do, but they don't. And the thing is that you can't take a movie series that has 7 movies now, as well as video games and everything else. It's like that we're so comfortable with Jedis and, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all those really iconic characters, right? That by the time we get to 7, I just feel like it has such an edge against a movie like Rogue One that I try not even to compare the two. So I just try to enjoy Rogue One as a standalone thing that does its own thing that, whatever. And it was super predictable. It was good. I agree with Diction. It was good. It's a solid movie. They did not take any chances. It was sort of boring, but it was fun because it's Star Wars. So I fall in this like weird category where like part of me is like, it's like the devil on my shoulder. It's like, this movie's terrible, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but Ello, you love Star Wars. This is wonderful. Like it's kind of like that is how I feel right now. It's like, I don't know. If it were any other movie besides Star Wars, I would be like, this is the most basic, like,
well, I mean, it's
predictable shit I've ever seen.
It's tough.
I get it. I disagree. I disagree
know
that they
the
didn't
story
take risks because this was definitely like dark. Like this showed a side of the universe that like I didn't know they would ever go to.
Yeah. I agree.
Like the first big battle scene when that little girl is crying, in the middle of just like utter chaos and murder. Like that's something you don't see a lot in Star Wars. You don't ever see it. That's the thing with like the Force Awakens. Like I knew Finn and Rey and those newly introduced characters would make it to the end. Like there was not a whole lot of surprises as far as that. But in this one, I was like, once like characters started getting like lopped off, like it was a fucking Jason Voorhees movie. I was like, well, shit, anything can happen now. Like like these characters they just built up and I care about now. Like they could all die and. Yeah, spoilers.
Did you care about them though? Did you care about those characters?
I cared about KS2O, the robot.
Yes, the robot.
Come on.
I cared about
the robot.
I cared about Diego Luna. I cared about Donnie Yen, Wen Jiang, Riz Ahmed. I love him, and I did not really care for Felicity Jones at all. She was kind of a blank slate the entire film.
Yeah, that's my biggest. Okay, so
I cared for everyone. Character. I cared all about like all of them.
I heard that was
good too. Are fucking awesome, well-rounded characters.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll just start. We'll just start kind of with my. I guess I'm just going to start with my biggest complaint, and then maybe we'll work from there. I don't know. Yep. This is my biggest complaint: is that if you're gonna have a movie that's like a one-shot movie, you only have like a couple of hours. Why do directors try to fit so many goddamn characters in there that they never allow any of them that they never allow any of them proper development? Like, I get it. This is the blind kung fu guy, and I get it. That's the guy with the guns, and I get, like it's almost like a Magnificent Seven kind of thing. Like everybody has like their own little thing, but you get to know none of them. Like you can't because there's too little time. Problem. Yeah.
Well, no, that's the thing though. It's a Star Wars movie. They should have made it 3 hours long, and everyone would have accepted it.
It was shorter than it should have been.
Well paced.
Yeah.
Well, my point
is,
if
they had extra like 30 minutes of more character development and made it more like you said, like a Magnificent Seven or like the Seven Samurai, where like all the newly introduced characters get their moments to shine and be like known by the audience, I feel like it would have been a stronger film.
Yeah, and that was my biggest complaint. Like the one death that I was like, damn, was the robot, because the robot, because of his programming, almost by design, we got to know exactly how he thought and exactly how he was, because he always told us and he always expressed himself that way. The robot was the most expressive character.
Well, he also
film. It's like I'm like, god damn, like I didn't care about these other characters a lot. I thought they were fine characters, and maybe if I were to get to know more of them, I would enjoy them. But I didn't. In that amount of time, they were getting killed one by one, and I was just like, yeah, all right, show me the next death. Yeah, all right, show me the next death. That was kind of cool, but I mean, I don't feel anything.
I know what you mean by that. I mean, I think that the first half of the movie, especially the first like 30 minutes of the movie, there was way too much jumping around. Like they jumped to different places.
We were on
like 4 different places in the first 10-15 minutes. It was crazy. I was just like, this is crazy. Like it was a lot to, like what you were talking about, Ella. It's just like I don't even know what's even going on. Like, okay, we're on this place, and what's his the Alliance intelligence guy is like meeting with that one guy to find out about a pilot being going to Jeddah or whatever, and he's finding all that stuff, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on there? Then all of a sudden they jump over to where Jin was, and she's like in jail, and then maybe they started there, but it was just like all these things going on at once, and then finally it started to converge on each other, and then it started getting better. But overall, it's like it's hard for a film like this, like for you to judge a film just strictly on itself, because what happens at the end of it. I mean, this is basically episode 3.5, but from a different point of view. Yeah. It fills in a lot of the gaps that we're missing from, just the canon, and whether the books are canon or not. But, movie-wise and what's official, like this fills in a lot of the gaps, right? It just doesn't have Luke and Darth. I mean, it had Darth Vader at the end, but not really part of the actual storyline. And then, just the whole Leia thing at the end kind of, obviously pushes it right into episode 4, right? But overall, it's just, you're right. I definitely didn't like Jyn Erso. I mean, she was just like as blank as complete. It's like, what's up with all these things that we're doing lately, where the main character, I feel like, is the worst person like in the entire show or in the entire movie.
And she's like a solid actor too.
She's a great actress.
What struck me, it was like
fucking Star Wars.
I don't know, maybe it was just like poorly written role or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like they're all confined to like this weird like, I don't know. It's like this Star Wars like aura around them where they can only have so much of a character before they start to like get out of a mold. It's like they want them to stay in this mold of a character, this is this guy, this is that guy, and if they start to kind of get out of that, I think they think it's too confusing for the viewers or something. And you have to say, you have to throw out there too that, there's going to be like kids watching this, and like, you are trying to bridge the gap between the old movies and the new one and all that stuff. But at the same time, what I saw was this was a war movie. Like at its
totally
heart,
a war movie.
This is a war movie, right? And saving, and then I think, well, what war movies did I love? And I'm thinking like Saving Private Ryan. And it kind of had the same thing. You have a contingency of a group of people, but in that movie, I cared when those guys died, because they developed them along the way in such a way that I did care about them. But Star Wars, it's almost like they're reserved. It's like they don't want to tell you about their characters. It's almost like they want to reveal them over time, or maybe not at all, or expand the universe in an encyclopedia, and then you'll learn more, whatever. But like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, why don't I care about these characters like I cared about the characters in Saving Private Ryan? And now I know that's a big step, but at the heart of it, it's a war movie, and these are warriors, these are, soldiers, and I wanted to care about them. I wanted to care about their deaths. Every single one of them, I wanted to be like, God damn it. And I wanted it to make me mad. I wanted the ending guy, being killed or what happened in the end, have some kind of justification that made me feel good, and just all that excitement really wasn't there for me. And I don't know why, besides character development. So,
well, thank God it was a suicide mission, because for a while I was like, oh my God, if this is not a suicide mission, I'm going to be so fucking pissed, like at the end of this, because I agree. That is the only, it's the only way that it was able to, kind of come together at the end and make it, a complete movie. Otherwise it would have just been like, oh my God, these guys are still living somewhere else in the world. And then all of a sudden we have a parallel that's to the main storyline. That would have been bad. That would have been awful, in my opinion.
I like Modest. What he says in the chat. He says overly mysterious presentation of characters makes them feel shallow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for articulating what I could not myself.
If it's one character, like a villain, like the Joker, or like they only give you so much info about them, that works. But if it's like literally every character is like wrapped in this like shroud of like, where are they from? What have they been through? What are they doing? Then it's like, why do I care? Like,
it was kind of like a superhero movie. Like, like maybe like, I mean, it would have been like watching the Avengers or X-Men. It's like watching some of the original X-Men, right? Like you just see them all together. You have no idea what if people that don't know the comics, they have no idea what the back history is. And then for some reason the movies then go like backwards and then try to like develop these like in subsequent movies. It was a little bit like the very first one in terms of that with the characters. But
they're all dead at the end.
But they're all dead at the end. Exactly. You never get a chance to
You don't have another opportunity to get to know these guys.
Like
That's
comic
true.
books and stuff, which is like the lazy way of making a movie.
I know.
It's like, we'll explain everything later with a fucking comic book. It's like, okay, Did you also make Destiny? Like, fuck your face.
Actually, well, normally
don't fucking look down on me. I'm an adult. I can handle a story in a movie.
Yeah, see that a lot of times. Yeah, a lot of times I don't think it was in this particular case because they already scheduled out all these like Han Solo movies and everything too. But I think with at least the X-Men and those kind of movies, they only get one time shot. They don't even know if they're gonna be able to make another movie. At least with that one, the very first one. Yeah. So they have to do a bunch.
There was no sequel to this going into
it. So they should have been able to do
not make a Rogue One Part 2. Like this is a standalone film, so it's like going into it knowing that they should have rounded their characters out a lot more.
Okay, so
I mean that's.
Oh, go ahead. Hello?
No, I'm glad that you guys can at least see my point on that one because that bothered me the most about it. I would say that's like at the top of the list. The next thing is very kind of like blah, and it's mostly just the inconsistencies and the weird little things that don't happen or do happen that make me go like, why? Like for instance, when they bomb the base at that one secret location, whatever, they're going for the girl's father, and the rogue squadron comes in to bomb it, but they leave the dude's escape vehicle perfectly intact. It's like they why didn't they just bomb the you know what I mean? Like they know the target they're going after. They know that this is an Imperial vessel, right? Like they bombed everything around it, but left the escape vehicle just fine. Like it's weird, right? Like does it never bother anybody, those little inconsistencies? Like it makes no sense that they wouldn't bomb the actual escape vehicle, or like literally they fly over it to bomb these people and bomb the base, but
the landing pad is like untouched. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the landing pad
it's completely untouched. Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense to me like that would happen.
I thought they were still under the impression that was a cargo ship for the Empire.
No, it's like it's like that dude's Empire vehicle that he flies everywhere in. Like,
yeah. There's definitely no reason to not bomb that. I mean, they bombed literally everything else, but that.
I mean, he didn't even get off the planet, so it doesn't matter.
there has, it's one of those things in the movies where it's just like, okay. There has to be a way. It's just like when people get lucky in movies, like, oh, that main character should have died, but he just exactly. It's like I can accept that. I accept that.
I can extend my belief to a certain point, but at one point it's just sloppy fucking writing. Okay, when you that's just lazy writing. That's just like we don't have a better way for them to get away, so let's just have the rogue squadron just completely miss the escape thing that's right there that they know they need to target so that he can get away so we can continue. It's like they found ways of explaining every other fucking thing. Why couldn't they take 2 minutes to show him jumping in a secret escape hatch or something? I would rather him jump into a secret escape hatch and then get into a pod and escape through a secret thing than them just totally ignore it and him just be like, well, I guess I'm defeated here.
So what Ello is saying is he wished that there would have been 5 minutes in the script where it talked about how retarded these squadron pilots really are. They're like the worst squadron in the entire Empire, and they totally bombed the wrong thing. There's some explanation for how bad.
Well, they did. They did bomb the wrong thing. That girl's dead. Is dead.
I know, that's true. One thing about the explosion that I'm actually surprised that kind of jumped out at me is that this is the one movie where any kind of explosion in the proximity of a person killed them. Like it wasn't even on top of them. It was just over to the side. I think Donnie Yen's character dies that way, right? Her father dies that way. It's not even a direct hit. It's just kind of to the side, and then he gets thrown. And then Felicity Jones doesn't get killed, obviously, but her father gets killed, and it's just man, this is not like movies. It's just unless it's on top of you and he looks up and he has that moment of despair before he blows up. You know what I mean?
That moment of despair.
That's how people usually die in movies. They don't die.
Well, that's how the pilot died. That's how the pilot died. He did the oh shit face.
That's right.
He did the
that's
man, oh, fuck me. Boom, and he was gone.
That's right.
I get what you're saying, but that's more realistic. And I think that might have been a design choice because it's a war movie. And not that I've been around too many explosives, but I have seen some explosives in my life, and I know that you can feel the pressure and the shock wave, the heat. all those things from quite a distance away. Like explosives do way more damage than people think. And it's definitely not expressed well in movies because you think like it always shows like what you said, like the explosion has to happen right at their feet and then they fly through the air. Right. No, that's not how explosions work.
Like,
you get ripped apart by the
Hurt Locker got it right.
I never saw Hurt
Locker. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I never saw Hurt Locker. Spoilers at the beginning, basically, like dude's in one of those bomb suits. And he's like running away from an explosion, and the concussion from the blast just like explodes his head inside the fucking
exactly
helmet.
Yeah, and
that's a realistic depiction of an explosion.
Yes, so I'm okay with the fact that it explodes and they kill some people, in a radius kind of far away because I think that's more realistic. I think they might have made that design choice because it's more of a war movie. I think they wanted maybe to be, but I get what you're saying. I think it would piss me off if they did a lot of that. I'm okay with the fact that they died from impact, or
for some reason that just stuck out to me. I'm like, man, people are just dying like easy in this movie, And
then it's weird, right? When they condition you for so long to think that like it has to be right there, that when it's not, you're going, that's weird, but that's actually more true to life, which is kind of weird. But I get what you're saying. I felt the same. I noticed it too,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The biggest thing for me, easily, the biggest peeve I had within the movie was the whole Donnie Yen movie at the end, where he's just literally, I'm one with the Force. The Force is in me. I'm one with the Force. And he's literally, for no reason, this badass kung fu motherfucker who just like literally destroys an entire, most of an army before his friend just wipes him out with a machine gun, has to, for some reason, just decide to just walk through an entire battlefield that's being shot, and there's no visual force. This is like one of those lucky, these moments in a movie where there's like giant gunfire going on. This little kid just decides to just walk through a gunfight battle. But no, this guy is supposed to be a badass, and he just like literally sits there and walks through it, and it's supposed to be this powerful moment, and I'm just like, this is terrible. Like I actually hated
had the exact opposite reaction.
I hated
that was a beautiful moment. No, it was great because the entire film, his character is like desperately holding on to this idea that the Force is real and Jedis are still out there somewhere, and he knows he's not a Jedi, but he still believes the Force can protect him. And I likened it to like a Buddhist monk, who goes through life thinking that like there's some sort of aura around them that protects them from like evil spirits, things like that. And so that moment totally worked for me in that regard because I was paying close attention to his character and what he was saying throughout the entire movie because he was fascinating to me. And so when that moment happened, I felt like that was like probably the biggest payoff for any of the characters aside from the droid like sacrificing himself for everybody, after like spending the whole movie talking about how he basically didn't give a shit what happened to anyone. Like he was just doing what he was programmed to do. So that moment worked for me. I didn't think it was amazing. I understand it can come off as corny, but that's like one of the first things that struck me as like the writing was really good. Like they wrote up to that moment.
I don't know. For me, it's just like I needed something. I mean, I don't mind him doing that. It's just I just needed more either visually. I needed more even from the standpoint of sound and music. Like they could have faded the sound and then had the the Star Wars theme there. Like they have in these like very forced moments in a lot of the movies. You know what I'm talking about? Like when like a lot of the gunfire would just fade a little bit.
Real Star Wars movie.
I know, but still, it's still the Force. It's supposed to be like portraying the Force, right? And it doesn't have to be the exact Star Wars theme there, but whatever the Rogue theme is there, like it was kind of this weird version of the Star Wars theme. It was kind of similar.
I didn't like the music. It
was kind of weird, but
just like tuned the fucking theme song and like changed like a
the very beginning. No. That was very strange. But no, I felt like it needed a little more there because I thought it was.
I don't know. I don't mean less is more. Less is more, and I feel like the fact that it's like ambiguous, like was it actually the Force or did he just get fucking stupid lucky? I feel like that made it more powerful for me. Like I like not knowing things sometimes in movies. I like not getting the answers spoon fed to me, and so I felt like not knowing if there was a Force or not made it cooler.
Let me weigh in on this, okay? First of all, I just want to push my glasses up here a second. And Chanmanv, there is no kung fu in Star Wars. It's called Teräs Käsi. Okay. Second
I just see Ip Man every time I see it.
Second of all, stormtroopers are shooting at him, so it's not that miraculous. Number two.
Exactly.
Hey, okay, we were just talking about people bombing wrong things.
Hold on.
The A-team of Star Wars.
God, this is ridiculous.
Hold hold on. Number 3. Okay, number 3. I see both of your points very well. Now here's my biggest thing is context, okay? In the world that they're in right now, Jedis are either non-existent or thought to be non-existent, and the Force is all but defeated or dead. This is not like the old Republic, right? This is a time where like they're like Force starved, like there's no hope in the galaxy kind of thing. So this guy chooses to believe anyways. Now, with him walking out, the significance of that is him saying, if I survive this, there's no way the Force isn't real because it's completely an impossible situation for me to walk out of here and not be shot. So the fact that he does gives his character justification for all the beliefs that he's had throughout his life about the Force, which is beautiful in itself, so that when he's dead, he dies happy because he knows there's no way I could have done this without the Force. The Force is still out there. Jedis could exist. We still have hope. All that good shit, right? Now, on the other hand of that, I would have liked now Diction will probably disagree because he likes the more subtle thing, and I can get that. But in this one, I would have liked more of a confirmation from that because it could still be dumb luck, right? Not to the character. To the character, he felt justified and happy, and that's good. But it could have still just been dumb luck. And I would have liked to have seen him walk out there like that and keep walking, and then maybe just one blaster shot or one laser
like goes around him,
right? Yeah, that's what I need. I just needed something visual, something visual,
just like that. And then it's like, oh shit, this guy, and here's it opens up another discussion.
Honestly, something that would have been better than that would have satisfied both your and my like complaints or like visions of how it should work. If a laser's literally just grazed him and cut through his like fucking arm a little bit, and like that's it. Like something that's like, okay, that was a close call, but that's still,
Yeah, but here's the idea too that I kind of want to open up to you guys. That's really exciting about this is we're starting to see other characters in the universe that are arguably Force sensitive, but not trained by the Jedi. So is this character, I forget his name, is the character Force sensitive or not? I mean, he's like, because you can't say that he is and you can't say that he isn't. He does some incredible, kung fu or terraskazi, whatever, maneuvers, and he's a great martial artist, right? But I don't think there's ever a point that you see him actually use the Force, but that doesn't mean that he's not Force sensitive. In the expanded universe, which now isn't canon, they really explored with the idea of Force sensitive characters that have nothing to do with Force. Like, and you get Skywalker, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. She's Force sensitive, but she doesn't become a Jedi, right? And she still uses the Force in certain situations. So to me, that they're willing to explore and kind of expand in the Disney universe on, or even tease on that level, that there could be Force sensitive people that are developing their own shit or their own martial arts or their own ways of living with the Force, because that's in a very exciting part of Star Wars is the Force and how people interpret. That's why they always say like Sith and Jedi aren't good and bad. They're just different philosophies around the Force, right? It's just it's a different mindset. Neither are right or wrong. It's just difference of opinion. So you have those two. It's like religions, right? And you have those two religions. You have like the pious monks, and then like the ravaging warmongers, that kind of thing. And then, but there's all these other religions in between where people have not been. They don't even know what the Force is, and they've lived on a planet all alone, and they're Force sensitive. They think they're super weird, and they've used it to do this or to do art or to build or there's more to the Force than just as a combat mechanism. So it was crazy to see him, because I think that opens up the idea that we are going to see possibly more Force sensitive characters that maybe aren't necessarily Jedi. Or Sith,
even in Force Awakens, I think wasn't it Maz that said that she is sensitive to the Force too, right? When she's talking to Rey about Luke Skywalker's his lightsaber and that whole conversation, right? Yeah. So she was also another person that's Force sensitive. I don't know how they realize that they are, but
midichlorian
yeah. Oh God, no.
No, seriously, midichlorian.
I was literally going to talk about midichlorian. I just don't. I don't ever want to hear midichlorian ever again. that was literally the worst mistake in Star Wars history. Is even coming up with that word or even definition of worse. That's still the one thing that pisses me off the most.
That's because he got tested. He has 0. You have 0 midichlorians, Chan. Man.
Oh my God!
This is
bullshit. Oh, you're.
Where'd you go to college?
Anyways,
all right. So we should talk about what we liked about it now. I mean, we've just
hold on.
Okay.
Do you think he was force sensitive or not, though? Do you guys think?
Who? Oh, the guy?
Yeah, I believe it.
Clearly he was. I mean, or at least they were presenting him as somebody who was force sensitive, and then his sidekick wasn't until the end of the movie, right? Like, or he wasn't as much of a believer until the very, very end. So that was an interesting mix. How about this whole conversation about those two being the first gay couple in Star Wars? Have you seen this stuff going around?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, dude. There's all these people talking, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking? Can two guys just be like bros and not be like people think that they're gay? I mean, what the fuck?
Not have to like say it out loud and just like maybe they're gay, maybe they're not.
I know. I mean, I don't know if they are, but it's just like I didn't see anything there that would make me think that they were gay.
I mean, I think didn't they go on record saying that Poe Dameron was gay, that his character was gay, or is that still speculation just because like him and Finn share a couple, knowing glances or something? I have no idea.
I don't remember.
I don't care either way.
I mean, I don't care.
Openly gay character in the Star Wars movie, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I'm completely cool with that too. But it's just funny how people's commentary on any little thing and any I'm sort of surprised it's not Han and Chewie. If it wasn't for Leia, like Han and Chewie would probably be the first gay couple in Star Wars. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Well, I mean, here's what was happening there. The guy with the gun was definitely homosexual, and the blind guy just thought he was with a giant kind of manly woman. Okay? I mean, he was blind, right? So he's been in this relationship thinking he just got a really ugly woman. That's all, and just like a deep voice, whatever. He doesn't judge. He's blind, right? As long as his dick gets sucked and it's good, he doesn't care.
It's so funny.
So there's only one of them that's really gay, but
there's only one. That's gay. It's funny.
But no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, who cares? But I do get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. It's like they're trying to like reach too far in. I agree. It seemed like two buddies to me. I never saw a romantic gesture between the two of them. I never saw him like grab him by the shoulder and be like, "Hey, be careful out there." Let's
get this straight, guys. Let's get this straight. Right?
I know, but like you can tell when it's like a romantic thing, like a hey, keep that ass intact because I'm about to tap that later. Like that kind of thing, as opposed to a hey, you're my buddy. I want you to do well. Like there's a difference there. And speaking of romances, what do you guys think of the? Sorry, Chan, you go ahead.
No, I was about to talk about it. I just wanted to just get this out there. Can we just all accept that outside of Han and Leia, romance in Star Wars is not meant to be, or it's not meant to be written well, because it never fucking works. It's always like total trash.
I mean, if we're talking about the prequel movies, those don't exist, so we can't talk about them.
The scene with Anakin and
Natalie
rolling in the fields together is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's real love. Okay?
Oh my god. Oh god. That even just Rey and Finn. Even Rey and Finn is terrible. Rey and Finn is even bad.
Well, that's not a romantic.
But it's like a real, I don't think.
Come on, you guys are being stupid. It's eventually going to be a romantic.
No, he's like kind of chasing after her a little bit, but she's just completely rejecting him the whole time. So it's more of a, just like. Yeah, like he's always trying to like grab her hand, and that one.
But that's in the beginning. Towards the end,
like, I don't need your help. I'm fine, dude. I don't know. I never got the.
I think Rey is more into Han. I think she was like into like the old men. I think she was.
Oh man,
got daddy issues, right? I mean, she can't not. So she definitely. Look at how she looks at Han. Look at all that mystery, and like Han's like, you're gonna be the new. Millennium Falcon owner, and she's all like, "Oh my god, I'm so wet right now." Like she loves him. Okay, that's all there is.
She does love him. I'm not sure it's like that.
Well, they can't because it's Star Wars, but we all knew. Oh man, I don't know. I agree. Like, here's the thing I can't say about it though. In this movie, is I didn't like the romance. Okay, it felt a little forced and a little pushed to me. But what I did appreciate was that they kept a fucking lid on it. Okay, they didn't kiss at the end. Like they didn't do. They never kiss. It's never really said. It's just kind of felt in some scenes, right? And at the end, they only have each other. So why wouldn't you embrace that person? Because it's the last human being you're going to see, right? So I can get that. Now, what would have bothered me if at the end, when the nuke's coming in or whatever, the blast is coming in, that they kissed, I would have been like, go fuck yourself, Star Wars. But the fact that they didn't kiss made me at least appreciate that they weren't trying too hard to force this romance on us. I think that they understood what it was, and I think that they held back, and I'm glad they did. So if I can say something nice about it first, I'm glad they didn't kiss at the end. I
didn't either. I am glad too, but you know what? I expected them to kiss at the end. I was like, oh boy, here it comes. Here it comes. Forced romance, Star Wars. This is like the new Star Wars here. And it's like, or just with a lot of the other Star Wars movies. And yeah, thankfully they did not kiss. So that was good. They touched hands. That's okay. That's okay.
Which can lead to pregnancy.
That's okay.
Everyone, so be careful. Be careful.
Star Wars universe. Gnarly.
No kidding.
I'm excited. I'm honestly excited for the Han Solo movie, and because I'm pretty sure in the canon he was married before. He's like married and divorced, whatever that is in Star Wars. And I'd be really interested to see if they do a young Han Solo meeting his first wife and doing it more like I don't know. You ever see a movie like Blue Jay, like those kind of like mumblecore movies where like the chemistry between the two like leads is always like very natural. Like they're obviously off screen, they're friends, and you can tell there's like they get along, and they ad lib.
Yeah.
Like I can see that working really well if there's a lot of ad libbing and them just like really connecting, not on like in like a Star Wars way where it's like, you saved my life, like I know, like more like actual like reading on each other and like having like adventures and stuff. I feel like that would work really well for Star Wars and for Han Solo's like as a character.
So what do we know about the Han Solo outside of, I know Donald Glover's playing Lando, right?
Donald Glover, and then I think the actor, I forget his name. I haven't seen him. He's in Hail Caesar, which is like the latest Coen Brothers movie.
He's playing Han?
Solo, untitled. Alden Ehrenreich is his name, and he definitely looks the part. I haven't seen him act in anything, so I don't know if he's like perfect for it. But
Alden Ehrenreich. Okay,
yeah.
I got it. Okay,
and then Donald Glover as Lando, which is just absolutely inspired casting. And the directors are Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who are like fucking. I trust them with that property. Lego movies, stellar. The 21 and 22 Jump Street are fucking hilarious and awesome.
I'm excited for that. I think he does look like a good young Han. But I'm just excited that they're making one shots or off series of Star Wars. Like anything to expand the Star Wars universe to me is exciting. Okay, like that's super exciting, especially now that it's a whole new world, so to speak. I loved the expanded universe that is now considered not canon because Disney took it over, right? Like I love all that stuff, like the Jedi Academy and Luke and all that. Like all of that is incredible.
Are they doing a Jedi Academy movie? Because they should.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Kyle Katarn.
Yes, with Kyle Katarn. But right now, honestly, right now, none of those people exist. They're not part of canon. They are not real Star Wars at this point. So here's the thing: it's exciting for me. It's almost like it's like when the comic books did the Ultimate Universe to kind of bring in new viewers. They had like all the old superheroes just in a new contemporary setting. It's like exploring the Star Wars universe all over again and getting excited about what that could be. You can still appreciate and enjoy the non-canon stuff like Kyle Katarn. I'll always enjoy booting up, Jedi Academy or Jedi Knight, a Jedi Outcast, that kind of stuff. or reading about, the however many like evil clones of Darth Vader, like all these things are like super fun and you can still enjoy them, but they're not canon anymore. So it's redeveloping a whole new world. And that's super exciting that they're making movies about stuff other than just this story about the Skywalkers, and that is, I think, the best thing about Star Wars Rogue One for me is just the implications of what this means to other movies that they can do. And now that it's also Disney, really they got cool the money. They got the money,
and it's making money, and they're 2 for 2, so it's proving to be a good.
How can you not make money?
I also love the idea that now they're not restricted to genre anymore. Like, this was a war movie. This is like an espionage war movie. It was not a typical Star
Everyone
Wars
died.
like grand space opera. Exactly, like everyone died at the end, like that. So that means like maybe we'll get like a Star Wars like action comedy, like Indiana Jones, which is what I think that the Chris Miller and Phil Lord said they're leaning towards like kind of like a space western for the Han Solo movie, which that excites the shit out of me. I love that.
That would be
awesome.
good.
Like, I want to see him smuggling shit, getting into fucking riffraffs at bars and stuff. Like, that sounds fantastic, and like that sounds really off kilter for a Star Wars movie, which is what I want to see. I want to be surprised by the genre.
It doesn't always have to be like the whole galaxy depends on this, right? There's all these other there's all these other adventures that take place and fun. And
let's talk about like some of the things, because Han is an obvious choice, right? And with Rogue One again, I feel like is something along the lines of episode 3.5, just from a different point of view, because it does fill a gap in the storyline. So what else could they do? I mean, one thought I had was maybe there's a whole gap with just Leia's story that's just, blank, at least her growing up and that sort of thing. I don't know how exciting that would be, but she was a princess, right?
She grew up in royalty, and it's boring as shit until the rebellion started.
It could be, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what possibilities there are. Like, even
okay, listen, this is what you do. You take any part of the original 3 movies that people have made fun of for the longest time, and you create a story.
Just rewrite them.
Potholes. Yeah, like that's
it's
what they
all
did
a dream,
with this.
guys. These were all a dream.
No. Think about this. Remember the jokes that were made, right? Of the original 3 movies about the Death Star. They're like, oh, the Death Star and this one little thing.
Why would they just develop it with this one?
Why would they develop it with a weakness? Like blah 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 blah. I'm so sorry, but now. Now we know exactly. Story. There's a whole reason it has a weak point. Yeah. So honestly, just take anything that people have been shitting over all the time on the original 3 movies that didn't make sense and was inconsistent, and you can just make a fucking movie out of it and explain it, and everyone goes, I guess, maybe, okay, well, this was the whole thing. And that's kind of the fun thing about this storytelling, again, is that they can do this stuff. They can explain anything now. Like they can take the time and they can, it really could be anything. The bounty hunters.
Boba Fett would be awesome. Actually, a movie just about Boba Fett would be awesome, man.
I don't want a movie I don't want a movie from his perspective. I want a movie that's like a cat and mouse thriller of someone chasing down Boba Fett.
Really?
For like I don't know.
I think his story is pretty cool.
Him as a main character is just like, because he's a villain. Like, we already know like his childhood now and stuff like that. But like, he's a villain, so it's weird to do like a movie based on like a villain going around and just like kidnapping and murdering and stuff.
Well, it would be more. I would like to see a movie that's done basically up to the point where he's the Boba Fett we all know. Like just the bounty hunter. And
there was a video game being developed called Star Wars 1313. Which I believe was supposed to be about Boba Fett in training when he was like in his 20s, and he didn't have the mask or anything. Like he took his mask off and stuff. And the video game is supposed to be M-rated, and it took place in this basically, Dread, like the mega blocks. It's like that, except it goes down to the core of a planet, and it's got 1,313 floors. And so it's him and his trainer going down there to try to assassinate someone. And then they cancel the game, but the story's still there. I think it's based on a book or a comic book. It was like definitely based on like actual Star Wars lore. And a movie like that, like a Dread type movie where it's like him training like in this giant fucking like place. Like we don't have to jump around planet to planet. We can just be in this one centralized like planet that they can just build the lore for and like, give it like texture and characters and structure and stuff, and just like have them do their thing in this one place. I think that would be a cool a cool movie.
Well, honestly, you can do anything. You can do anything you want because they have the licensing and they have the technology. They can build it. You know, like they can go anywhere in the universe and they can make anything. Like they really can. What I think would be exciting personally is more Old Republic stuff. Like back in the day when the Jedis were a supreme force and like their secrets weren't like, you know, lost to time and history and shit. You know, like there was a time, you know, back like, in the old Star Wars stuff. Now, I don't think it's considered
Clone
canon
Wars type of stuff.
No, not Clone Wars. Even before that, 1,000 years before Clone Wars. You know, like old Republic, like where Jedis could jump across the sky and like fucking do all this crazy stuff. Like
Dude, it would be dope. Like, you ever see the 36th Chamber of Shaolin?
Yeah. That's like,
what if they did like a movie like that where it's like a Jedi?
You've never seen that, Ello? Really?
Like
no, I've never seen that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You gotta watch it. It's
like, I'll have to watch it.
But the whole movie is about this character learning Shaolin. Like the whole movie is in this like training like monastery where he's learning the methods of Shaolin. And it's just one long training montage, essentially, like a whole movie. That would be an awesome fucking movie. It's like just Jedi training the whole movie, and then of course, like,
it'd have to be a main. What character would it be? It would be.
Well, it could be anyone.
It'd
make it a little bit better with somebody like old, you know, like
Mace Windu.
Because
Mace Windu was considered to be with like the greatest sword lightsaber master of like all time. Like that's one thing they don't know about.
As a young Mace Windu, Michael B. Jordan, young Mace Windu.
Like done. I'm done
Michael
with it,
B. Jordan. All right, Rocky, and then now Mace Windu. Okay,
we're giving them all these ideas, and they're just like,
oh god,
it's not a man.
We're shitting gold right now. We're shitting everywhere.
You can bill us later, man.
No, but the thing is that it would be exciting to go back when again all that learning and teaching hasn't been lost to history. Like there were Jedis that could move mountains. Like there was like crazy abilities. And that's the thing about when we come in and like the first three movies is like the Jedis are almost extinct. So the Force, it's like lifting something, you know, up out of a pond is like, oh, but for like back in the day Jedis, it was fucking nothing. Like that was just what everybody, like younglings could do that shit. You know, so anyways, I digress. But let's get back to Rogue One for a second.
Yeah, let's talk. I mean, let's talk about the good thing. So we've just been like ragging on it, basically.
Ragging on. Okay, so let's start.
Beautifully shot. The cinematography is fantastic, especially, and I like the close up documentary style, like, you know, cinema verite, where it's
I know what you mean.
It felt like a very intimate movie where you're there with the characters, you know. That was great. I dug all the actors. I had no problems with any, except for Felicity Jones. I just felt like her character wasn't written for her talents, and maybe she wasn't the right choice. But everyone else, I thought like they pulled really good performances. And especially Ben Mendelsohn. I really like him as an actor, and I like how his character was like, we got to see this other side of the Empire of like the fucking worker bees, you know, like like he feels like a regional manager at a fucking like a paper company, and he's just trying to do his job with his fucking boss breathing down his neck, you know, and he's like, everyone's fucking up his job and he just wants to get it done. And I really liked that they went that route with him, and he wasn't just another admiral person who's just standing looking at the Death Star like, oh yes, our plans are coming to fruition.
Don't choke on your ambition.
It's
the line of the movie, man. Darth Vader's
it's all robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Like that's the whole chain of command is basically like you better do your job. You better do your job. It's like how all Darth Vader says one thing.
It's like, I want credit. I want credit for my work. Don't steal my credit, you bitch.
Darth Vader says, don't choke on your aspirations.
That's
and
what
then from there,
God.
He goes to his underling and says, don't fuck up, which goes to his underling. And suddenly the entire empire is in fucking fear because their boss might do something bad.
You know what I was waiting for? I was waiting for Tarkin to go to him and it's like, so I heard you tried to skip over me and talk to my boss and then just fuck him over, right?
Chain of command.
Exactly.
Well, I think that he actually was ranked
the bureaucracy.
Higher. I think he was ranked higher than
Tarkin?
Harkin at the end. Yeah, I think so. He was like, so I'm still like the director. He's like, yeah, man, like don't choke on your aspirations. But he was basically like, yeah, you still are. And that's why he smiles at the end. Like, remember him doing that little smile when Darth Vader walks away, like as the light cuts his face off? he does like a little smile, and it's because
well, he's still in charge of the Death Star, but I don't know. Tarkin he's a governor, right?
I feel like he was his superior, but then at the end it was kind of more ambiguous. Like it was weird. Like it's almost like he didn't care about. Maybe he was still ahead of him in chain of command. But it seemed like he didn't give a fuck. Yeah. Like he didn't give a fuck about him after that. After he went and talked to Darth Vader, it just seemed like he did his own thing. That's why Tarkin didn't even know he was on that fucking planet. Like he was like. He's like, oh, what's going on down there? It's like, oh, whatever. He's like, well, ring so-and-so. And he's like, well, he's down there. And he's like, he is? You know, like, I don't think that he was like going to him anymore. I think he was just basically like, fuck that guy. I'm going to do my own thing. So maybe he was still ahead of him, but he definitely didn't give a shit what he said. At least that's what it seemed like to me. But what I do love about this is the grittiness. Of course, I always talk about the gritty, but like I think you guys can agree. It was nice to see the dark side of the rebels, you know, like what the rebels actually had to do in the shadows a little bit.
That was awesome. That was the really good part. Like killing people, right? And regretting
killing people and manipulating people. You know, like they did, you know, and I think it was an excellent point from the main character, the chick. She was like, you know, well, you're just following orders. Oh, you're going to do all this bad shit. Well, you're no better than stormtroopers. Fuck it. You know, like, and she's right. Like she really is right. Like at the end of the day, they're both at that point doing evil shit to get ahead, you know, like, and I think that was, you know, sort of the point, but you know, he made it seem like this was, you know, this is necessity. This is war. And it's interesting to see that side of Star Wars, and that's exciting to see that sort of Star Wars. And I felt like, you know, out of all the Star Wars, this was the least kid friendly. Like this was not the one that I would let like my kids see right off the bat. I would not take my kid to see Star Wars Rogue One. I think that that's a little intense. I mean, depending on the age of your kid, obviously. But what I'm saying is like, I would rather start with like the old originals or something. You know, it did have a little bit of comic relief in the robot, which was the best fucking character. But it wasn't overly done. It was in little pockets, very little comic relief. And the most of it is a war movie, you know, like, so even though it was Star Wars, there was some pretty graphic shit on there, man. Like, you know, people being shot and killed and blown up and, you know, just little shit that you just didn't really see in the originals or in the other ones. It's like somebody got hit and they went down. Okay, whatever. You didn't like see, you know, I don't know. You didn't really see like the gunshot wounds and, you know, like them touch them and shit. And, you know, it was definitely grittier. And I liked that. I want to see a rated R Star Wars movie. Fuck it. Like I want to see.
Not with Disney.
I know not with Disney, but like, I know, but what I'm saying is that this at least shows that they're willing to get their hands dirty a little bit, right?
I think this is the dirtiest they'll get, though. I don't think they'll go any beyond this at all. Yeah,
probably. But even still, even if it was at this level, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked a lot about this one too. Is that you know they made the Alliance Rebellion, you know, just not this super clean organization, you know, like they have their own each member has their own a little agenda too, you know, and that's why it's a council, right? They vote on things, and it was clear at the end, as well as, you know, there are things you just have to do during war. And at one point, I think even Cassian even talks about it, right? Like he regrets a lot of things that he's done, and sometimes you have to kill one person to save a bunch of others, right? And that's just the necessity of it. So they did a really good job with that. I think the humor was really good generally in the movie, or at least it was paced. Agreed. Like Alan, you know, the K2SO was like really, really great. There were a couple things I felt like even just in the theater, people just didn't get it. Like you know, when he goes, I have a bad feeling about this, you know, like that's total Han reference, right? Nobody in the freaking theater got it except for me. I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
what? That was
really old there. I was like, I was seeing all these like parallels.
Yeah, it was kind of
cameos
strange.
And stuff, and like
when the guy that bumps into her and it gets in her face and like, you want to bump into me? That's the same guy that runs into
exactly
Luke Skywalker at the bar.
Right. That's right.
My friend doesn't like you.
I want to know how he got off that fucking planet in time before the explosion happened.
That's a good question.
They look like hobos, you know, like they don't have money for a fucking like I'm taking off that fucking rock. Like there's no way.
That's like when shit, what is it? Robot Chicken. does the what did that guy do before his arm got cut off that day? You know, like, and he's like making cereal. He goes to work. He's like an average everyday citizen. He goes with his buddy to the bar because he's like annoyed into it. And then his buddy's like, this guy doesn't like you. And he's going, no, I'm fine. And the way he's waving his hand, going, and then his arm gets cut off. You know, like, he's like, you know, it's like he didn't deserve it at all. You know,
that's funny, dude.
Do it. Oh man, I would love to see a movie like that. Like, I would love to see a movie of things that happened before we see them, and maybe gave some context. Other context.
I know what you mean. Like, go back and like redo, like, or just show little snippets of like how people got where. But no, I thought K2SO was great because he was sassy. You know what I mean? He wasn't just kind of like dumb funny like C-3PO is a lot of times. You know, in saying a lot of things that he does. He was actually outright sassy, and it was pretty funny. I mean, more so from his standpoint, him and just Jin. You know, just that relationship that they were going back and forth with. But yeah, I think he was probably the highlight of the movie, I would say, character wise. And I mean, we already touched on it a little bit, but I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree. I liked him a lot. I want to know what in him allows him to kind of go against him.
Yeah, there's reprogramming, right? Yeah, there's something going on there that they didn't really explain very well again.
And they made some kind of comment, I feel like, where he said, "Oh, those are being phased out or something," and he's like, and somebody says like about time because they're like, I guess like you don't see those robots ever in the original series, you know, like those are like a just for Rogue One kind of thing, or Star Wars Rogue One kind of thing. So I think they do make sense, and I could be wrong. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, or maybe Diction knows. Like, they say something to the along the lines of they're phasing those guys out, and then somebody was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, I think that they innately had some sort of like problem with their programming or something against their program that kind of made them do their own thing. Because even when the dude tells him to stay back at the ship, he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. Like, he goes, and then like he gets told again to go back, and he says okay, but like he goes against his orders at least once, you know, at least. So I don't know, there was something there that was lost to me. Maybe somebody else.
Star Wars Westworld is what's going on here, man.
I don't know, but if it was okay, so Ozzy says it's T-50 guns. Okay, so maybe it was a gun type then. But then where did these robots go to? Where did what's the story behind these fucking robots? What's the story behind anything? What's the story behind the fucking friendship of the guy and the blind dude? Like, there's so much shit there that I'm just like, you didn't explain.
So I was under the impression with you know, K2 that he was reprogrammed. Like, maybe they captured. They probably captured him in some battle, right? And or at least Cassian probably captured him somehow. And then they were able to reprogram him and give him, you know, just this completely different personality or whatnot. So I don't know if it's just the robot itself, you know, was able like doing different things, but I don't know. That's how I felt about it. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I know that he was reprogrammed, but you would think that he would still follow orders, especially in a military kind of atmosphere. You know, like this is a robot.
Depends on how you program them, right?
I guess it's true. But would you program somebody to occasionally not do what you tell it to do? You know, like would you program defiance into it naturally? Like, probably not.
Well, you'd probably program defiance if the probability, like if you had him work out probability and it wasn't in favor of it.
Maybe. I don't know, man. There was, like I said, that's just one more thing that wasn't really gone into very much. Like, was kind of I have a question though. When Senator Organa, I believe is what it is, the dude that takes Princess Leia, right? That raises her. Mm-hmm. When he's like, I'm going to go talk to my Jedi friend, did he say she? He's like, I can trust her?
That's Leia. He's referring to Leia.
Is he referring to Leia?
Yeah, he says, I don't know if he says like, I'm going to talk to her, but he basically has somebody that he trusts with this mission, and he's referring to Leia.
Okay, I thought he said something about Jedis, and I was like, what Jedi is a her that he can go to?
But he's going to give it to her to take to a Jedi, which is Obi-Wan, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. He's referring to Leia. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I understood that, because it happened so quick, and I was like, I don't know. Like,
what'd y'all think of the CGI? What'd y'all think of the CGI for Tarkin and for Leia?
It's like the Anthony Hopkins thing from Westworld, man.
But
It's
the
like
Westworld
so good.
Like it actually looked good in Westworld.
So
I didn't buy it for a second in this movie.
Really?
Leia was terrible,
I mean,
but Tarkin
mostly because I felt like Leia looked better than Tarkin.
really. I thought it was the
That's
opposite.
probably because there was way more Tarkin in the movie,
was.
so it became more and more noticeable because he had more screen time.
Yeah.
What?
I noticed. Well, I just noticed it right away. Like
I noticed it
because the actor's dead. Like
I mean, I noticed it, but it still looked good. I mean, I thought Tarkin looked good. I thought Leia looked like, I mean, at points I was like, is her mouth moving when it's supposed to be moving? Type of thing. It looked a little bit weird. But Tarkin I thought was all right. I mean, he was obviously does noticeably CGI, but it still looked good.
Oh my god, I thought it looked
it honestly took me out of the
good.
experience.
Really? It was that
But it was
bad?
like I knew it was that bad. But the thing was, I accepted it because he's an intrinsic character to this plot, so he had to be there. They had to have him in there.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that you guys are not impressed by it. I was thoroughly impressed by it. I thought it looked really good. I mean, I thought
it looked good, but I knew it wasn't
fucking
real. That's the end point for me. I knew it was fake. Like.
Well, that's you tested it for failure to begin with. It doesn't matter what it looked like then. Damn it, Diction. Listen, I think it looked great.
I thought I thought it looked good. You knew it was
Industrial
CGI.
Light and Magic for doing it, but
Yeah.
it did not fool me for a second. I was like, that is a fucking dude in a mocap suit.
See,
In a mocap suit.
I thought it looked really good, man. I thought it looked as good as Anthony Hopkins in Westworld. I thought it looked that.
Anthony Hopkins in the Westworld looked better.
The young Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
I thought it looked.
The problem with that is because they had Anthony Hopkins alive to actually act that scene out, and then they rotoscoped the CGI on him later.
Yeah.
So you actually had his facial features in there and his mouth movements. So it felt more real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And same with like Michael Douglas in the beginning of Ant-Man. He's like they CGI'd him younger and it looked very, very convincing. This was like the actor's dead. They had to get someone to fill in the role. So it was just like fully CG with a mocap dude doing the walking and talking,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it looked way faker, because there was no actual face to put it on.
I don't know, man. I thought it looked really good. What'd you guys think about Forrest Whitaker and how he just is like, I'm just gonna stay here and die?
Yes.
It's like,
gosh, I mean, in the trailers, I just thought that entire, scene, and obviously, I mean, it was clear he was gonna die. Even in the trailers, that he was gonna die. But I mean, that line I felt like was iconic to the trailer. Like I felt like it was gonna be a very powerful thing where it's like, to keep the dream alive, right? Or whatever it is. And I don't know, that moment didn't have as big of an impact as I thought it could have. I don't know. They could have showed him, I don't know, maybe outside with them as they were getting away, and then he gets, obviously he gets left behind or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Overall with his character, I don't know. It's like, why is he had that breathing machine, and his voice
old,
was kind of, I don't know. The voice was kind of weird.
I don't know what the fuck his accent was that he was going for, but it was
something weird about it.
It was really distracting.
Yeah.
Like I felt, I don't know. Forrest Whitaker's been going down a weird path of acting, kind of the way Nicolas Cage did.
After winning awards, he just fuck it.
Well, he just plays these characters a little too much. And I feel like he needs to reel it back a little bit. Maybe he was just excited to be in a Star Wars movie, and I would be too. But it felt like he was going for full theater Shakespeare when he should have been doing dinner theater, just bring it back, dude. Bring it back a little bit.
I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah, he had a very he's like, they sent you to kill me.
That was probably the best. Honestly, that was probably the best moment though that he had.
It was hard. It was really hard to take him seriously.
That's a good
it was
impression.
the end result for me. It was hard for me to take him seriously as a character. Especially, it was like, I'm gonna use my brain slug on you. Figure out that part. I feel like they should have cut that.
That was what? Yeah, I didn't get that.
There was no end point. They used the little brain slug on him, and then nothing happened with that. They just took the guy.
The guy was catatonic for a little while, right? And then they're like, "You're a pilot." I'm a pilot.
But then he wasn't catatonic. But
I'm a pilot.
They say four things. Oh, I'm a pilot. Yeah, it's like there was no point. It went nowhere. That was a dead end. Just to show off a cool monster. There was no reason to do that.
You're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. There was no reason to do that. The excitement from that was gone as soon as it was done. And then it's like, there was no purpose. I totally agree. And I was like, what's the significance of having them in a catatonic state if he's just gonna come out of it and be like, yep, I'm back to my good old my good old self. I'm the pilot.
Yeah.
But I think Bruce Lee like nailed it in the chat. He says Forrest sounded like he was doing his very best Dumbledore impression. Like he did sound like
that's
Dumbledore.
hilarious.
Like
You're a
it
Jedi.
was very Dumbledore. Oh yeah. It was very Mr. Potter. He's got that like that. His mouth's all crazy. I don't know. I guess that was probably my favorite part of his acting was that scene. That's why I mimicked it. But even my favorite part wasn't that great. And then he's just like, well, there's clearly no way of me escaping this situation. I might as well just stay here and die. It's like, you're not even going to try, man. Like at least run towards the exit and have a rock pin him down or something, like he just was like,
my time. It's my time.
I'm just going to stay here, and that's one thing though about like Star Wars is like, dying for some reason in the Star Wars universe it's not like the same as in our world. It's like there's a lot of people who just sort of accept they're going to die and just do it, like in Star Wars actually. Like it happens a lot, like Obi-Wan and like even like, well, I mean, like Yoda's not really a good example. He just got so old. I don't know, if I go through the series I can show like a lot of situations where it's just like, I'm dead. I'm just gonna die, and this is okay. Like it's like there's a lack of trying to say the survival in Star Wars.
It's almost as if they
there is
accept
no
that
try.
the characters like done what they're supposed to do in the script, and they're done.
Yeah, exactly, which makes me hate the scene with Forrest Whitaker because I feel like it was just I'm here to do this thing, and then I'm gone. Just like it doesn't care about the ramifications or if it fits into the plot of the story. Just like the bombing of the squadron thing. It's the same thing to me. Like they bomb the whole place, but they leave the ship available so the bad guy can escape because that's their purpose there was to kill the dad. And that was their purpose. They came in, they bombed the dad, and then they left. And it's like, okay, well, I guess that's that,
Looks like we have a caller. Why don't we take a caller now? That's
let's do that.
It's got something to say about I think maybe the backstory. Hey, Unusual, what's up?
Hello.
What's going on?
Hey, welcome to the show, man.
No, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about a particular book that's sort of like a prequel to this that is canon, and it's called Catalyst. Have either of you guys heard of it?
No.
Well, basically, since Disney bought Lucasfilms, they erased everything before and have been writing a whole bunch of new different books that are included as canon. And I think the most important book to read is this book called Catalyst, which basically explains the relationship between Galen Erso, Lyra Erso, his wife, who dies at the beginning of the film, and Orson Krennic, and how he got involved with the Death Star in the first place.
Gotcha. Okay. Is it good? Is it like, did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy the book very, very much.
Okay.
It's a great book that really explores those characters really well, and I thought the film did a fantastic job to those characters. And I think because I read the book, they're probably the only 3 characters that I actually really cared about in the entire film.
Okay, that makes sense. Because sometimes reading a book that has lore in it is not necessarily exciting in and of itself, but the payoff is going to be when you see these characters in a film. You're going to be attached to them more.
I mean, it's very clear that there was something going on. I mean, obviously with Lyra in the beginning saying like you're not going to take him, that's based on history, of course. And then they even show a flashback, right, where they're actually on the Death Star, or it's like
that was in Coruscant.
Okay. Oh, is that Coruscant? Yeah, or they're on Coruscant, and Jin's a young kid, and they're obviously he's obviously working with him at that point, right? So there's a clear history there.
Yeah, they used to be friends basically, and
I was just about to say, were they friends? Because it seemed like they were at some point, like they were buddies,
Yeah, they were old college friends, and then basically, as you know, Orson Krennic is basically hell bent on climbing the ranks of the Empire.
Yep.
And Galen is basically just wants to make clean energy using kyber crystals. But then Orson Krennic sort of manipulates Galen into working on the Death Star, and that's why he builds the weapon.
Oh,
gotcha.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because he didn't want to kill them. Like it was clear he wasn't there to kill them. He was there to just bring them back, to the project or whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was maybe there to kill his family. I think he was there to like wipe out all distractions, bring him back, or maybe even take his daughter hostage and use that as leverage to continue the work on the Death Star, something like that. I mean, they wanted the kid for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like
but that's because that's why Orson doesn't originally think that Galen is the one who betrayed them, because he cares for Galen so much. He doesn't want to kill Lyra or Jin. He just wants to bring them with him because they are friends. They're close friends.
I didn't feel that way. Like I felt like there was a history, but at that point everything was dead. Like when he shows up there, like I don't feel like he didn't have to fucking kill that woman. Like he didn't have to. He just did it. He did it because he was just tired of having
she was about to shoot him. What are you talking about?
She had the gun pointed at him, but
she shot him. She shot him in the freaking shoulder. What are you talking about? Oh my god!
Listen. He did not look like that was a hard decision for him. He flippantly goes, "Do it." You know, like it didn't look like there was anything in him going, "God, I don't want to do this," but do your order, something like that. It was very like.
It was like last minute. She was like, I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
Also in the book, Krennic and Lyra sort of oppose odds. They never really trust or like each other. It's just Orson and Galen that are close friends. So I think that maybe while he didn't want to kill Lyra, that maybe why not have been so hard for him to order the kill on Lyra as soon as Lyra shot first. It's like a Han situation.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is
apparently she got shot first, is what people are saying in text, and then she shot him. Oh, okay, I thought it was the opposite. That's
the thing, because don't you remember that he was like, the husband was like, this guy listening on this unusual on our call is like, God, I wish you would just use their names. I'm like, no, the husband is like telling her like, calm down, put it down, like. This is not the way I want this, right? And I feel like she's going to listen to him, and then just enough time passed that he just goes, do it. And so they shoot her, and then when she gets shot, then she shoots. It was not like it didn't seem like there was anything friendly with him. But that makes more sense now. You got your best buddy, you got this woman, this fucking woman getting between your bro time. Fuck it. Send her off.
What are you talking about? They must have been gay, right? Those two guys.
I'm done arguing. Yeah, those two guys. Well, they're friends and they're guys, so they have to be. They're also white, so that means they're racist. I mean, these are the things I've learned in our society the last year.
Oh, man. Jeez.
So no, but I don't know. I see that history was apparent there, but
yeah. But I think Lyra also going up there in the first place breaks her character that was established in the book, because sort of like, Galen tells Lyra and Jin to like go off and hide, and hide in like that small bunker.
Yeah.
And then in the books, Lyra is like fiercely protective of Jin and fiercely in love with Galen and stuff like that. So it didn't really make sense to me as to why she would just abandon Jin to be with Saw, this person who's clearly insane, to go and just basically run up there and die.
Yeah, it was that seemed weird to me too, because you could tell that the love in their family and their family dynamic was very much like a pretty typical family dynamic, at least typical for like Americans. Like the man is in charge, the woman is the nurturing, and the lover, and he's very fierce about that, like you said, in both ways, for the child and for her husband. And like the one time that he needs them to listen to him, like the one fucking time where he's like, this is no joke. This is now. We've trained for this. We've had to have had conversations about this because she knew exactly where to go. Like, this is the time you don't disobey me. And both of them disobey him.
You know what? You know what the problem was with her? She wasn't chanting, "I'm one with the Force." If she would have just walked up there and just let the Force shoot him for her, then she would have had it. But it's like, yeah, you walk up, there's like 4 stormtroopers, and like, what do you expect to do? I mean, you're gonna.
Jen, even if she was, chanting that, they would have missed her a bunch, and then in the end, she would have been killed anyway. So it doesn't really matter either way. Either way, she's just prolonging the inevitable, right? So.
About that scene too, where I'm one with the Force is with me. Again, like there's such a small amount of character development. They leave these people completely open. And I think that's completely intentional because they want to write books and comic books about these characters so that way they can make more money. It just doesn't serve the film well,
Exactly.
But I think that the Donnie Yen's character, I don't even remember his name. That's how little he's developed. But Donnie Yen's character, I think, is a temple guard who basically, if you watched the Clone Wars TV show or the Rebels TV show, they basically guard Jedi temples. And it's clear that he's Force sensitive because, you know, he does a bunch of things with the Force in the film, including like read that Cassio was about to kill someone.
He does sense a lot. And that's what made me think he was Force sensitive. But it's never strictly said.
No, it's never strictly said, but I think it's heavily implied that he's Force sensitive.
I agree.
Which makes me think that he's a temple guard, and temple guards have these awesome yellow lightsabers.
Yeah, dude, I was totally waiting for. I was waiting for his staff to like have a lightsaber show up.
Yes, like in that last scene, I thought for sure it was gonna have a lightsaber in it, and it was gonna
I think what would have worked in that scene is if instead he walks out and pulls out his yellow lightsaber for the first time in the film, and then starts deflecting all the bullets, and then because he's too busy pulling the lever, he then gets shot and dies. Yeah. I think that would have
exactly.
But
that's
then
what
we would have gone. Wait, he's had a lightsaber this whole time, and he's just now pulling it out. Like I think we would have really reamed him for it too.
Okay, I give you that. We definitely would have. Yeah.
I think it would have caused a more emotional scene, which I think like the one thing that this film is lacking is emotion, because you just don't care about any of these characters.
Amen.
So I wouldn't say it lacked emotion. I just think it lacked enough emotion.
I listen, when he was standing there like this, right, with his staff, and it had like the silver headpiece on it.
Yeah, I was like, sure.
I thought for sure we were gonna see a lightsaber come out of the top of that thing, and I was like, all right, here we go. This is gonna be his last hurrah, doing whatever he needs to do to hit that switch. But like you said, when he hits that switch, that's what I was expecting. And then he just sort of walked out, and all the bullets missed and everything. And I understood that too, and I liked that to a degree, but I definitely wasn't. I was expecting something entirely different. So
yeah, I would agree with that. But I do think that this film is like the first film that is a Star Wars film that is catered towards the heavy fans, because there are so many nods and references to other media that are in this film. Like for example, if you watch the TV show Rebels, there's a famous a ship that the rebels in that show fly, and it's called the Ghost, and that appears in like the final big battle of this film. And then the droid from that show, who's called Chopper, is in one scene of this film in the background. And then Saw Gerrera is actually a character from the Clone Wars TV show. You know, there's so much in this show or in this movie that comes from previous Star Wars canon, even like Catalyst and stuff like that, that I think like if you're not a heavy Star Wars fan like I am, I think you enjoy the film far less because you don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, well, at like 270 pounds, I'm a pretty heavy Star Wars fan. So, I'm a father. I'm allowed to make these jokes. Anyway,
But I think this film could have also used an opening crawl just to explain at least some of the stuff that happened in Catalyst.
I disagree. I was so happy there was no crawl.
It's
like not a Star Wars film. It's not a.
Yeah,
it's a
I actually
agree
too. I didn't think it needed the crawl.
Just a title card and boom, get into the story. I love that. I thought it was perfect.
That title card looks so bad, by the way. But
it was just
I like the fact that there's no crawl because
flying at your face 3D FX. It's the title.
Yeah, but like I agree that no crawl here separates it from the episodic films. However, I think there's just such a large gap in story and character that you just don't see, that like either needed to be developed more or could have just been solved with having a crawl. I think if any Star Wars film needed a crawl besides A New Hope, I think it's this one.
I disagree. I feel like
I can see that point.
Like I can see it, but it just like I understood what was going. Like it took a little like about 15 minutes for me to really grasp the characters and where we're going. But like once it got into the rebels and stuff, like I knew what they were doing. I knew what they were fighting against. I knew what the Empire was doing because we've seen it before. And even if you didn't see it before, I don't know. I feel like the crawls honestly are cheap. It's cheap storytelling. Like if I want to read the movie, I'll just read a book. Like I don't it's like Blade Runner, you know, the beginning of Blade Runner. That's cool. It sets up the universe that we're being dropped into.
I think the crawl
Serenity did that really well too for Firefly. Serenity, like
yes, they did.
The little begin, they gave you just enough, and then they threw you in. You know, like it. You know.
Yeah.
But I totally get what Diction's saying, and coming from a background with writing and doing a lot of studies on that. Yes, you want to be shown, not told. But at the same time, for Star Wars, I think there's something to be said about it being iconic now to do the crawl. Like, it's not even so much is it right or wrong storytelling. This is what we do for Star Wars. Like, this is a Star Wars.
That's what you do for Star Wars, but this is a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with it. But that's what I'm saying is I see both sides. Like, I see the benefit and that it'd be okay. Like, if they did a crawl, I wouldn't go, well, this is bad storytelling. I'd go, no, this is what they do in Star Wars. This is a Star Wars thing, right?
Also, I know. I just I would have been disappointed. I've been like I want them to do something different. I was glad that they did. We're like, nope, no crawl.
I was happy they did something different, but they did need to give a little bit more backstory. I mean, it would have been nice if we would have had a little bit more to go on, just to set the table for what was about to happen.
The lack of a crawl, though, here, I think immediately, like, for example, my mother thought that when I told her I was going to go see Star Wars, was like, oh, is what happens to Rey and what happens to Kylo Ren? She thought this was going to be Episode 8. But I think if you're just a casual Star Wars fan or a casual film fan that just happens to walk into this film and doesn't see an opening crawl, it immediately tells you that this is something different.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a good thing.
However, I think that, like, the crawl, like, I saw an interview with George Lucas where he explains, like, the idea of the crawl, and he says that it was just a way to give exposition without having characters just, like, look into the camera and basically say, this is what happened, stuff like that.
Yeah.
To avoid that specific kind of lazy.
And that was a different time.
No, I get it. I mean, there's purpose to the crawl. It's just, we just think, or I think most of our opinion is that we want it unique.
The gaps that needed filling for me were just character gaps. The story made perfect sense to me, and especially the beginning where it sets up the relationship with Ben Mendelsohn and like her father. Like, all they had to do was exchange those little bits of dialogue, and I understood their relationship, understood what was going on, and I didn't need the crawl to tell me, like, his character's going to this planet to go snatch up their family, and I feel like that would have been worse than the character looking in the camera and being like, this is what's gonna happen now. Like, I don't know. I felt like they did storytelling justice instead of doing the Star Wars thing.
But at the same
the thing
time,
with the crawls, though, is like the crawls are filling in the gaps between the movies, right? So Episode 4, there's a gap between there's like a 30-year gap between Episode 3 and 4 or something like that.
30 years.
So there's a lot of ground to cover, right? Whereas with Rogue One, it's like we don't really need to cover any ground because nothing came before it aside from like the prequel movies. It's like we already know, like we know what's like the Rogue One is essentially the crawl of Episode 4, like minus the details of how they got the Death Star plans and stuff like that. Like, that's what it already is, the crawl itself. It's just in movie form.
Sure.
A long time ago with characters.
Exactly. All right.
But also,
last thing unusual.
Oh, okay, last thing. But also, I don't think, like, the kyber crystals. Did you guys understand what was going on with kyber crystals in this film?
Only because I have played things and read things, and I know what the crystals are basically about. Like, they're the crystals that are used for lightsabers. They're a source of energy. They can be manipulated. They can be used for different things. Like, I pretty much knew all of that going into it, so it's hard for me to answer that question. Did any of you guys not ever hear about?
Well, I mean, they actually said that, right? I mean, like, a couple of the characters try to explain the crystals like in one-liners. I mean, it's not the best explanation, but they do at least give the audience a little bit of an idea as to what the crystals are for. Powers
and like the
weapon,
color crystals.
It powers.
Yeah,
the
but like even the color of the lightsaber is based on the crystal.
You're right.
Like, right? I mean, they went into this a lot actually in not Lord of the Rings, Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is really weird because it's a very obscure Star Wars game if you really play it and listen to everything. But they really go into the crystals on that for some reason, and so I knew what was going on, but I don't think most people maybe.
Well, like, but the kyber crystals are actually what power the Death Star.
Yeah, they say that though, right? They talk about that.
They say that, but like, I don't think you understand like the depths of which kyber crystals go. Like, for example, did you know that the color of a kyber crystal basically is chosen for a Jedi to fit their certain fighting style.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
if a kyber crystal is red to fit a Sith, that means that the Sith is bending the will of the living crystal to bend to his will.
Yeah.
And then by causing these kyber crystals, which are living crystals, to shoot out giant laser beams of death at a planet for the Death Star, they're actually killing the last remaining remnants of the Jedi.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I knew all that, but I can see where most people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you
I get
haven't
what you're
played
saying.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah. But if you have, you know a lot of this stuff because it's that's what you get, like the white. You can get like a white lightsaber in that game. I remember specifically.
White lightsabers are red lights. Because Sith corrupt kyber crystals and turn them red. You can uncorrupt them and then they become white.
Yeah. And I remember I had a dual or like a bow staff with like 2 white lightsabers.
Oh,
on them,
nice.
which I thought was super cool. But
Nice.
anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate you coming on here.
Super
you had
knowledgeable,
some
man.
really, I love having like people who are like hardcore fans jump on here because we kind of, walk our way through a lot of things each week, and so we dabble in a lot, but we don't really, some things we don't have like the expertise. So we love having callers like you on that really like.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here. I've also been here for the Killing Joke one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, man. We tore that one a new ass.
The Joker styled it.
We were the Killing Joke.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here.
All right. We got First Hand Man.
First
Next.
Hand.
Hey, what's up, buddy? First Hand Man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good, man.
What's up, man? It's good to talk to you. Hello. Hi, friend.
Hi,
Hello,
friend.
friend. I haven't spoken with you, Ellohime, in a while, so it's cool to be back on here.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you.
So what I thought I wanted to talk about, you guys were having a little conversation, and it came up again about the scene with the Guardian of the Will when he's like praying to the Force and dodging bullets as he's going toward that master switch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually like a super key scene because I've always seen the Force as like this religion parallel in the universe of Star Wars, and there's very little other reference to religion all throughout aside from the Force. And the sort of ominousness of whether the Force is like really there or not, especially in this period of time where the Jedis are at their like lowest point, if not completely non-existent, that the use of the Force there and like how it protects him just like nominally, like just enough for him to complete that small task, is like, I think it's designed to sort of add that strange supernatural nature to the movie, because it's essentially the Force that allows the rebels to win that conflict in like a really small way. And the only people who are witness, as far as I could tell, to like the sort of quote miracle of the Force are this Guardian of the Will and his partner, the gunner.
Right.
Who evidently both die. So the only appearance of the Force and the only witnesses to it are dead, and nobody else really notices that the Force actually has any play on on how the movie plays out.
Right? Yeah.
And I think that I had made that point. I think I had made that point earlier, but not to the extent that I didn't really consider that nobody witnessed it but them, which adds like
that's interesting.
A better. I think it adds a little more flavor to it. I didn't really think about it in those terms that like, this sort of miraculous thing happened and then everybody who witnessed it died. So it's like, I do agree with you though. It's what I said earlier. I think that it was an important scene because in a universe where like the Force is, dying or maybe not around, or the Jedis are there, but maybe in a very small capacity. It does give you that little bit of like, oh, it's not, it's like, yes, the good guys do have a chance. There is hope, and the hope is in the Force. That's why they always say, may the Force be with you. And in this case, it absolutely was, that's the whole thing, So, I agree with you. And that's why I didn't hate it. That's why I didn't think it was a terrible
let's be
scene.
clear. Okay. I think the scene was necessary, like in the movie. That's not the problem I had with it. I just had the problem with how it was executed. Like you know, like I would have liked to see some more visually and even more audio wise, like to make it feel like a little bit more clear that it was the Force. And we talked about, you know, maybe a gunshot that just like swerves or maybe even nicks the guy, you know, just
like
something.
or something.
Yeah, this was literally like in real time.
The laser's like bending away.
Yeah, this was like literally in real time. He literally just walks across the field. You know what I mean? It just wasn't executed properly.
And if anything, even the goal he's oriented toward is like a switch on a panel,
it's like,
which in and of itself seems really odd.
Couldn't you throw something at it? You know, like it's
and I feel like that's another interesting thing is that like like the sort of final boss of the movie was just some scientist with a laser gun. Like that felt so underwhelming to me. You know, you're always hoping for some like really intense like one-on-one fight, and there's always the Force involved in other movies, but like here it was just like a gunshot and that was it. I was like really hoping
that rang true to me as like a James Bond type thing, you know, where it's like usually those movies end with like a one-on-one encounter with like the villain or something, and I dug it. Because like he is just this fucking stooge who's just working on a space station, you know. So like I don't know, I felt like there didn't need to be this giant, like there was already a giant epic battle with fucking, you know, AT-AT walkers and shit, and the Rogue Squadron coming in and everything, and but like I don't know, I didn't feel like it needed like a giant sword fighter. So I feel like that would have been, that would have underwhelmed me. Like if like
I think we got enough from the Darth Vader.
Anything.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah, Darth Vader was great. That was fantastic.
And you know, it's crazy because it's one of the few scenes that you actually see Darth Vader really go at a group of non-Force users. Like, normally you see him in like lightsaber battles because he's facing Jedi, right? But you rarely see him actually just fucking rip apart
to kill 10 guys at once.
A battalion of eggheads, you know, like pretty crazy. I had this idea. Let me throw you guys this, okay? For the scene where he goes and does the switch. What I would have liked to see, I've been thinking about this quite a bit. This is what I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see him go right up to the switch, and right when he's about to get to the switch, a bolt comes and it basically stops. Like right here, and you can still see the Force
Kylo
of
Ren,
it,
Kylo Ren
like a Kylo Ren thing. And he's like looking at it, and it's just stopped. And he knows, like, if he pulls this switch,
he dies.
Like he's just buying him enough time, and he kind of smiles.
He can't look at it; he's blind.
Yeah, but he can sense it. He looks at everything else
with
his third eye. You know, like
that would have been great. That would have been awesome.
I think as soon as he pulls it, it goes through his head. You know,
I feel like that would have been overkill. That would have been too much.
No, I would have loved it.
Too much.
Think about like
I would have loved it in an actual Star Wars like Luke Skywalker lineage film. That would have been dope. But like
the problem with that
doesn't belong in this movie.
The problem with that is I think it was purposely meant to be very subtle because it's just barely enough of an influence from the Force for you to say like, no, that was just dumb luck, you know, which you talked about, you know,
that's what we talked about.
It's like dumb luck, and that's always like,
I like that.
Yeah, that's like a really common religion parallel where like someone will look at something, they'll be like, I witnessed a miracle in my lifetime, and like other people would be like, no, that was just like that was like pure coincidence, and there's like
someone falls from a two-story building and they don't break a bone.
Yeah, but
it just happens to be like the physics of it.
It's different though here because we actually know the truth of it all. You know, like in religion stuff, I mean, there's obviously debates with the truth of it all and stuff, but when you're looking at it from a movie where we actually know everything, and
we know the Force is there, but what, like, I like the idea that it could have been the Force or it might have been dumb. I like that. I don't know. That's just
and the Force is.
I like honestly that shit just like. Yeah, if something like no doubt in my mind is the Force happened in that scene, I would have not liked this movie. Like it would have made me go into like it's mediocre.
Yeah, I agree.
From liking it. Like that would have made that's like pandering to fan expectations, which I hate.
And the Force is supposed to be very weak at this point in time. So there's no reason why it would be so blunt and obvious that it's there. You know, because then it probably should have appeared in other points as well to other people who are seemingly like Force sensitive.
Yeah, but you know the whole idea of the Force is kind of weird, anyways, because the Force isn't necessarily any weaker now than it ever was. I mean, Darth Vader is still able to choke a bitch with no problem with the Force. You know, like the Force isn't weaker. Just
it's there.
That particular manipulation of the Force is weak. That particular art. That Jedi.
There's just channels. There's not very many channels out there, which are the people, right? They're the Jedis and There's just not many people out there, but the Force remains the same always, right?
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. It's like, it's not that the Force is necessarily weaker. So it's not like if you were to be able to pull off something astounding that it would be like, what? How's that possible? Because the Force is always there. It's a driving mechanism of the story, right? But this particular manipulation of the Force, this particular art, this particular religion, and its connection to the Force is very weakened. So what those people can do with the Force are weakened, but the Force is just as strong as ever. The Sith are just as strong as ever. Like, it's not like Darth Vader's powers are weakening or anything like that.
Yeah,
like
I always thought of it as like a tug of war of the light and dark side of the Force, where like this is a period of time where the dark side has like the advantage, and there's like very few people to represent or empower the light side of the Force. So the dark side is like strengthened. But like the whole premise is that they're supposed to be in constant conflict, and you can't ever like completely wipe out one or the other because one relies on the other to exist. Like that kind of yin and yang kind of, you know. So that's from what I see, like the dark side is at its best and the light side is at its worst in this like period of time.
And that's I mean, like I said, you know, there is if you go back into what is considered, I don't believe it's canon now, but they did have a much stronger connection to the Force. They understood. It's all about understanding the Force and learning from the Force and all that stuff. And what's happened is, because there's so much of the Jedi work that's been destroyed and lost to history and to time, and the Sith have, you know, ultimately discarded it. Like, that knowledge is what's keeping people from the Force. There's only a few people who truly understand the Force anymore, like in the universe, you know, Darth Vader, Emperor Yoda, you know, those kind of people, and they can teach that. They can teach that. But like the guy who's guarding the Jedi Temple, now he knows the Force exists. He believes in the Force. He has the Force. He's Force sensitive, right? But his true understanding of the Force is limited because he has what seems to be no teacher, or, you know, he has nobody saying, look, these are the truths of the Force. This is how you advance.
Well, I would imagine that as a guardian of the will, he must have had some sort of teacher, because like his skills seem like something that he was trained for, and there must have been others like him, but he was either the last one left, or whoever was left behind that weren't like technically, you know, placed in the film anywhere, were wiped out when Jeddah was shot by the Destiny. So,
yeah, and it's like I said, again, and neither one of us is like right or wrong. There's still a lot about the Force that we don't understand, especially now that Disney's taken over and where they're going to take it, you know?
Yeah, and I kind of love that. I love that it will sort of remain this sort of ominous thing that's not really quite tangible, but there are points where it seems to shine, and it does give that sense of like a miraculous event that sort of bends the outcomes of all these different conflicts in like the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
Anyway, yeah, it's I don't know if I walked out of Rogue One feeling like I know more or less about the Star Wars universe now. You know,
I definitely.
It's like an episode. We always go back to Lost. Like, it's an episode of Lost. Like, we walked out going in wanting answers, and we walked out with like eight more different questions.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I would say like, yeah, in terms of the Force, sure, but I mean, I think I understand the Alliance and the Rebellion a lot better coming out of it.
I feel like because you see the Rebellion has like dissent, and there's like radicals, which would make sense, you know, because this is an alliance of a bunch of different planets and people who don't necessarily have agreeing values, but they have a common enemy. So they're like forced to, pun not intended, to work together to try and you know, take care of their, you know, this enemy that they know is not only a threat, but is like the one thing that will wipe all of them out. So yeah, that was great. I thought that was really great. I did learn more. I feel like I definitely learned more, but there are obviously more things that felt like they needed explanation, and that's always going to be the case. And they probably intentionally do it because they need to hold out for, you know, the 20 some other movies that they're probably going to release over the next, the rest of our lifetime, maybe, you know. So
one thematic, you know, or at least script or something I just hope that they just stop doing is every single, or a lot of the movies, right? At the end of the movie, the Death Star or whatever the death weapon is at the time is always threatening that planet that, you know, some cast members are on, and we all know it's not going to destroy them. So that is like
it
such
did
a
blow up. The Death Star did destroy. What was that? I forgot.
Alderaan?
Yeah,
It just started Alderaan,
Yeah.
but that just started Alderaan in the beginning of the movie. I'm talking about at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, guys, you can stop this because it's not how it happened in Force Awakens, and now it happens in this one, and it's just like, okay, hopefully we're done with that because that's
Yeah, that was so
it's so
awkward
lame,
with Force
yeah.
Awakens. It felt like okay, we need another big ball. We need a big ball that shoots lasers, and then record something.
a big ball
Oh,
that
man.
shoots lasers.
I guess you could say they were looking for love in Alderaan
Yes.
places.
Alderaan.
Stop it. Stop it,
Looking
Dad.
Panub and all the
You're not Darth Vader. You can't pull off his dad joke. Man.
Wait, hold on. Did you just do Wookin' Panub?
all the wrong
Eddie
pages.
Murphy from
Hell yeah, buckwheat, baby. Buckwheat.
Buckwheat sings. All right, I'm done. Anyways,
All right.
thanks
Thanks,
Sam, for
buddy.
coming on and sharing that with us, man.
Yeah,
This is
thanks a
good
lot.
talks.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, we done with Rogue One? We should talk about
think-
next week.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we're coming up in almost 2 hours now. I gotta take a shit. So
Yeah.
let's bring it up. I've had to shit for the last 10 minutes. I've been holding it for the sake of the show. So I don't know if I can handle it much more. We might have to just continue and tell them what the hell.
All right. So next week, guys, is going to be it's another movie, but it's our first musical. So we're going to actually do La La Land. And this is, if those who don't know this movie or are very familiar with this movie, Diction, you want to give a quick description of it?
Sure. It's the sophomore film by the director of Whiplash, which is probably my favorite movie from, I think it was 2014.
Yeah.
And it's a like
Yeah.
Gene Kelly-esque jazz musical, like straight up musical, which I love musicals, and I haven't seen a
I
good
do
one in a long time, and I'm hoping this one knocks my socks off. Like I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm
So
trying to get my
from
parents to
Rogue
go on
One
Christmas.
to jazz musical.
Yeah, from Rogue One to
Welcome
La La Land.
Spoiler alert. Welcome
Rogue
to
One
Spoiler
to
Alert.
La La Land. Wow. That's we are diverse here, baby. That's
Yeah,
right.
diverse. Yeah, we haven't done a musical yet, have we?
No.
No.
I mean, the closest thing I think is The Killing Joke had a musical number in it.
The Joker.
But I wouldn't
But
call
we
it a
haven't-
musical.
No, we've never
We did
done
like
musical.
one animated movie, Kubo, but it wasn't.
There's
a
no
musical
music in
animated
it,
movie. It was
yeah.
just like, yeah.
I mean, there was music in it, but yeah. I think this will be officially our first musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that'd be
I'm
good.
excited because I don't know anything about it, but I like Ryan Gosling. I
The reviews for the
appreciate-
show, I mean, the movie have been excellent. So, I mean, at
Really?
least the
That's gonna
scores.
be
I
good.
haven't read any of the descriptions of it, but the scores for it are super.
Apparently,
high.
the actual musical numbers and the dancing sequences are like god tier. Like they're like really fucking good. So that's what I love about musicals. If it's got really good catchy music and really good choreography, like I'm in. I love Gene Kelly. Like An American in
Yeah.
Paris, one of my favorite movies of all time.
I
It's
saw
so
that.
good.
I saw that like recently or a year ago. Yeah, really good. Yeah. So, anyways,
Good stuff.
hopefully you guys can check that out. It's in the movies, and I know some of you guys can't make it out to the movies, and we try to mix it up some. But
If you're one of those families celebrating Christmas,
yeah,
that does like the
it's a
like
good family
Christmas
movie.
breakfast and then movie thing,
Mhm.
I feel like this is like the Christmas movie to go see. It's supposed to be like super upbeat, positive, like makes you feel good, that kind of thing,
yeah.
which everyone needs right now. You know.
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
agree. I'm gonna go poop.
I'm gonna go cruise.
That's what makes him feel good.
That's
Alright,
gonna
dude.
make me feel good.
Oh god, let's do shout outs real quick. Diction, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/EatMyDiction1. I'll be streaming later tonight. Probably some Friday the 13th if I can get a group of people together. And Fucked Up Friday tomorrow night. We're doing a Christmassy Fucked Up Friday. I'm gonna make eggnog.
What?
It's gonna be good.
Really? You're gonna make eggnog on stream?
I'm not on stream.
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna
make,
say.
it has to cool overnight in the fridge, so I got to go
alright.
buy it today and mix it up.
Right. Oh, awesome. Hello. Besides finding you in the bathroom, where else can people find you?
Skyrim run continues tomorrow. This is my channel. Follow if you want to.
Man, he's bursting at the seams.
I'm praying.
This is like, oh,
Chan
man.
Man, tell us about yourself.
You can find me on twitch.tv/ChanmanV if you want to watch any kind of Hearthstone streams or any of my shows, Value Town, the overview, Overwatch shows, whatever. Find that all the VODs and everything on youtube.com/ChanmanV. You can find this VOD also there and all the previous shows. If this show was your first first time watching Spoiler Alerts, we've done a lot of great shows, so definitely check it out. If you're on iTunes, definitely listen to us there. It's a little bit hard to find us because we just don't got many people listening quite yet. So look for us there. Leave us 5-star reviews if you like the show, and that's going to be it. So for Addiction, Ellohime, and myself, Chanmanv, we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Later.